Hello, everyone. At one point or another, we always encounter physics. This happens mostly at school, so naturally most people hate it. You will hear things like life is physics, it is the science of nature, so if you're someone alive or just have consciousness, you must encounter physics. But now, I will tell you that even the teachers at schools, people live their lives longer than you, which you would expect to be wise, don't quite know the concepts of nature, physics, or scientific method, or ignore the fact that they never spent their time to figure out deepness of those concepts. We should try to be wiser and set our understanding right from the beginning. I will not approach those concepts or physics in general philosophically. Here, I want to clearly show why it is worth to learn physics for your lives, and why you should not treat physics as if it is actually the nature itself. Let's begin by defining physics. How it is usually presented gives the feeling it's all about manipulating equation and whatnot. That if you memorize and learn to work equations, you are done learning. However, we should not forget physics is an experimental science. To give an example how physics really works, think about Isaac Newton. For many, the god of physics. He is considered the god because he exemplified how should a physicist work like. He has done observations and formulated gravitation. He has done many experiments on light and explained its behavior. He set up the principles of motion. He has invented calculus to generalize equations of motion. That career stat line is hard to beat. From what we have seen from Newton, we are doing physics generally like him. Observe, experiment, and if you're smart enough, find general principles that can lead to equations that we all know. Our current understanding of physics comes from more than 300 years of studying it like Newton. Best and most relevant ideas stay with us and gets written in books. Then, we use those books to teach physics and say, look, humanity done this in hundreds of years. Trust your predecessors and don't try to invent the wheel by yourself. This is the heart of scientific progress. Now, with those in mind, we can return to the initial point I raised. Is nature and physics the same thing? Or rather, does physics represent nature fully? Short answer is no. We are a long way from completely understanding nature. And it isn't only about some open problems existing at the cutting edge physics like quantum gravity. There's a lack of understanding even for 300 years old subjects. This is mainly due to the fact reality turns out to be even more complex as we investigate more. For example, once Newton settled his theory of gravitation, it was somewhat straightforward to find the orbit of a planet around the Sun, and the mathematical results aligned well with the astronomical observations. However, when we wanted to include a third body, namely a moon, the problem became unsolvable if all three of them were allowed to move. To this day, we don't have an exact solution to this problem, and it is famously known as the three-body problem or many-body problem in physics. Yet, we have managed to land on the moon, solving those problems not exactly but numerically, thanks to computers and countless hours of labor. This might give a false sense of hope to understand nature fully, as we had an enormous jump in computational power in the last 60 years. But the numerical solutions don't necessarily mean we are gathering information on reality, as they are usually set up between short time periods or small space intervals. So you trade the size of the space and time to gain better precision. They are extremely useful for applications, which is why we have many amazing technologies, but they are always limited to explain, let's say, the bigger picture of the universe. Okay, what if we find a lot of numerical results? Then combine all that knowledge together with the principles, equations, experimental results, etc. Will we end up with the knowledge of nature? Can we then say that with physics we explain the nature? It seems quite logical, but far more harder than it seems. We and computers or any AI that will emerge in the future have limited capacity to keep all that knowledge in mind. Apart from this limit, the knowledge gathering might take forever. In fact, Isaac Asimov has a beautiful short story named The Last Question covering this exact situation. It is about an ever-evolving AI and its answers to the fundamental questions of our universe. In short, we have limited knowledge. Knowledge gathering takes a long time, and even when we gather lots of it, we have limits in processing it. So at every point, we have to be aware that our understanding of the nature is limited. Physics can make so many predictions, and this limitation applies to every other science. But with those, I don't intend to discourage you from studying science just because of that. Even if your profession or your dreams don't include contributing to the scientific knowledge, learning the fundamentals of scientific method and physics can be helpful for your life. You see, even if you don't have a perfect description of nature, we are aware of its complex structure. So complex, we can't even foresee when we can finally start saying we have grasped it. Awareness of the situation protects you from horrible and bold claims about the nature. Imagine someone coming to you and trying to sell you a technology claiming it can predict the future of all stock markets. This would be a great tool to make yourself rich. But you should always remember that if science can't predict something, a technology can't as well. Every piece of technology you use bases their functionality to scientific knowledge gathering that I have mentioned. So, you will simply go ask a person what is the science behind that marvelous technology and compare their answer to the many findings of the trusted scientists. And if what they're saying contradicts the science, bet always on the science. Basically, science is the best BS detector, as it can tell you with certainty the BS you hear was not the job of science. Nowadays, more than ever, we need to protect ourselves from senseless and baseless knowledge. You will not have certainty with physics. It won't be able to produce every answer you desire, but rest assured it will not blatantly lie to you. Science won't be able to direct you towards risk-free decisions. It will not show you how to make money quickly, how to be successful easily, but it will shed light to the liars that do.